Are we gonna get another hot takes video anytime soon? Andrei Tarkovsky and Jordan Peele are the most overrated directors ever. Yeah, I think Jordan Peele earned a lot of goodwill from all of his work from Key and Peele, as well as having a super impressive directorial debut with Get Out. I can see why people were kind of hyping him up as the next big thing. I was not a big fan of Us. I thought that was a pretty big step down from Get Out. Nope was pretty good. Wasn't my favorite movie ever. Didn't blow my mind, but it was pretty good. In terms of Peele's filmography so far, yeah, it's definitely not nearly enough to induct him into the Hall of Fame of great directors. He's nowhere near that level yet, but he's got a lot of potential. Even though Us and Nope felt like step downs compared to Get Out, you can still see his progression as a filmmaker. I just think Get Out had a much better script. And the thing is too, the film industry needs people like Jordan Peele. We need these type of auteur directors who are also capable of pulling in huge audiences and delivering at the box office, because that is the only way the studios are going to fund big budget original movies that are not associated with some sort of toy or comic book or something like that. As for Tarkovsky, yeah, he's basically royalty among film critics and movie nerds, but I don't think he ever really got that kind of mainstream recognition. I don't think Tarantino is that great. He's pretty good, but dozens of directors are pretty good. I would never put him as one of the best in my opinion. I don't know about that. The thing with Tarantino is pretty much throughout his entire filmography, one thing you know that he will deliver on is that he will always get great performances out of all of his actors. And I think that is one of the main signs that someone is actually a really great director. I can definitely see why some people might have issues with his movies, but for me personally, I do think that most of the issues that people have with Tarantino are more so based on his writing and his screenplays than his actual directing ability. Not to knock John Travolta too much, but I mean, come on. The fact that Tarantino was able to get such an amazing performance out of John Travolta, out of all people, I think that speaks volumes to how great of a director he is. And he does this with every single movie. I mean, that is ultimately one of the main jobs of a director, is to direct the actors and get the very best out of them. And I think Tarantino is one of the best at doing that. So yeah, I do think you're kind of underselling him a bit by saying he's just pretty good. No, I think he's really good. He's a great director. Tarantino is stuck in high school. Scorsese is an adult who can be fun when he wants to. Hey man, there's nothing wrong with making fun, dumb movies. Not every director has to make deep, thought-provoking, introspective movies. It's fine to have movies that are just fun and dumb genre movies. I can definitely see where you're coming from. Someone like Scorsese definitely has a lot more layers to him than Tarantino, at least when it comes to the filmography. But I don't really think there's anything wrong with that. Tarantino's just doing his thing. He's making movies that he likes, he thinks are fun. You don't have to like him. I understand that. I think Paul Thomas Anderson is a good director, but he's a bit overrated. People glaze him way too much. Yeah, well, I'm definitely one of those people who glazes Paul Thomas Anderson way too much. He is one of my favorite directors of all time, easily. Paul Thomas Anderson is the most overrated director of all time, in my opinion. He has made one film that I love dearly and hold as a masterpiece, which is There Will Be Blood. Otherwise, I find the rest of his works highly overrated, especially The Master and Boogie Nights disappointed me highly. I respect him, but I'm not too fond of his style. What about Phantom Thread? Have you seen that one? Phantom Thread is an amazing movie. I could understand not liking The Master. I'll be honest, I didn't really like The Master the first time I watched it, but the second time I watched it, it clicked with me, and I really love The Master. It's a great movie. And what do you mean Boogie Nights disappointed you? Come on, what do you not like about Boogie Nights? Boogie Nights is awesome. Paul Thomas Anderson's movies check all of the boxes for great filmmaking, and on top of that, they always have so much heart to them, and they're really funny. I genuinely think in an alternative universe, Paul Thomas Anderson could have dedicated his entire career to making screwball comedy movies, and they would have been some of the funniest movies of all time. And you know what's crazy to me is that he made Boogie Nights when he was 26 years old. He was a legit prodigy. Ridley Scott is the most overpraised auteur director of all time. Outside of Alien, Thelma and Louise, and Blade Runner visually, he has proven himself to be a very bland filmmaker. He's way too wrapped up in world building that he forgets to add compelling characters or real depth to any of the themes he explores, making for dull experiences. Is this a problem with Ridley Scott as a director, or is it an issue with the scripts that he's working with? Yeah, I mean, just looking at his IMDb, he has 5 writing credits compared to his 59 directing credits. So maybe your issue with Ridley Scott is not necessarily his directing ability, but it's actually the scripts he decides to work with. I don't know, maybe he's not doing a good job of pulling the character development and themes out of the scripts he's doing. Maybe that is on the director, but I would guess it's probably just has to do with the scripts and not actually his abilities as a director. When Ridley Scott is working with a great script, he ends up delivering some really great movies. I mean, you mentioned Alien, Blade Runner. That in and of itself qualifies him as a legend in my opinion. Those are some of the best movies ever. Even a film like Gladiator is extremely surface level on so many levels, yet it gets praised as a god tier revenge film. Yeah, but again, is your issue with Gladiator the script or is it Ridley Scott's direction? Now, maybe it's nostalgia bias. I absolutely love Gladiator. I could definitely understand why some people might find it a little bit surface level, but that movie is just so epic. Look at the acting performances from Joaquin Phoenix and Russell Crowe. Obviously, those are some great actors and they deserve a lot of credit for that. But you gotta give some credit to Ridley Scott. That movie is so epic, so cinematic. He was able to pull the best performances out of them. It really is a great movie, and even if the script might be a little bit surface level, the fact that Gladiator ended up so great regardless of that, I think is actually a testament to Ridley Scott being a pretty great director. And honestly, I don't even agree that Gladiator is a surface level movie. I think Gladiator is just awesome. It is a god tier revenge film. I'm gonna say it, Hitchcock is a better director than Kubrick, although Kubrick is my second favorite director. Okay, yeah, but both of them are probably in the Mount Rushmore of all-time great directors. Those are two absolute legends. It's like picking between Wayne Gretzky and Sidney Crosby. Like, yeah, you're gonna get a good option either way. Personally, I would prefer Kubrick over Hitchcock just because I think Kubrick has a lot more versatility to him. With Hitchcock, you're gonna get some of the greatest thrillers of all time. With Stanley Kubrick, you're gonna get some of the best movies in pretty much any genre you can think of. Sci-fi, horror, comedy, thriller, costume drama, you name it. Stanley Kubrick has one of the best movies of all time in that genre. Hitchcock is the greatest director of all time. Please respond in a video. Yeah, I mean, that's not really that much of a hot take though. I think a lot of people would agree that Hitchcock is at least one of the greatest directors of all time. I could be wrong about this, but isn't he the first director to use the dolly zoom in a movie? He probably wasn't the first person to do it, but he was the first person to do it so well that everyone else started doing it after him. Challengers is by far the best movie of 2024 and is one of the greatest Oscar snubs ever. Thank you. Personally, I am a Dune super fan. Dune Part 2 is my favorite movie of 2024, but Challengers is right up there. I don't really follow the Oscars that much. I don't really care, so I don't know exactly what Challengers got nominated for, but if it didn't get nominated for at least Best Original Score or Soundtrack or whatever, that would be a crime because Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross straight up turned that theater into a German rave. The soundtrack alone was worth the price of admission. I still regularly listen to the Challengers soundtrack. And yeah, it definitely also deserved to get nominated for Best Picture. I'm not sure if it did. I'm pretty sure it didn't. And yeah, that is a huge snub. I don't know why Challengers didn't get recognition from the Academy, but oh well, I don't think it really matters. I would bet money on this that 20 to 30 years from now, people will still be watching Challengers and having a great time watching it. And that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Award recognition, I mean, it's nice for a movie to get recognized by awards, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. What matters is if people still love watching the movie, you know what I mean? I don't really care for the Matrix movies. Even the first one I'm not the biggest fan of. I also want to add that part of what turned me off from the Matrix is the fan base. Whenever I hear some tinfoil hat saying, bro, we live in a simulation, dude, this isn't real, or something along those lines, I kind of groan or roll my eyes at that shit. Yeah, and usually the people who are going to be telling you about how the Matrix is actually true are also usually the same people who are going to tell you how the pyramids were made by aliens or some shit like that. Yeah, it's kind of dumb, but I will admit, I actually kind of like talking to simulation theory alien bros. Have you ever talked to one of these people who's like an ancient aliens connoisseur and who will tell you all the details of their theories? Yeah, they're kind of dumb, but it is fun to listen to them. It's like, I don't know why. All right, the theme of the next hot takes video is going to be actors and actresses, so let me know in the comments section, what are your hot takes about actors and actresses?